Okay, and we are live. So, hi everybody. Today is a sync up call of Jenkins and the Java 10 online hackathon. We will have a short status update session, and then we will talk about contributing to the project, especially starting up development environments for patch contributors for Jenkins plugins and core. And yeah, after that, we will be able to answer any questions you have. If you are interested to participate, we have several channels. So one of the channels is our standard Jenkins Gitter channel, Jenkins CI/Gitter. So if you have any questions or if you want to participate, just join there. And we also have a participant link, so you can join our Hangouts on air call. And later we will be distributing all the videos, so we will be able to get the content. Okay, that's it from introductions. Just to provide more update, we have a video recording of the kickoff presentation, which contains all the information. If you want to get this link or any other updates, one of the sources is Jenkins Online Meetup. So here you can find the hackathon updates. Oops, what's going on? Okay, so Jenkins. Too much spam, I guess. Yeah, Jenkins and Java 10 online hackathon, and here you can find all the links, including videos for all sessions. And we also post updates below, so you can track the information here. Okay, so I've got echo from somebody. Okay, let's move to the status. So we don't have so many people online now. But yeah, many people were working yesterday on the evening to get the things out of the door. And yeah, I'll probably start from that. So we have posted a blog post about our day 1, day 2 progress. So you can go to this blog post and see what we did together. So one of the major accomplishments that we got Jenkins pipeline running, including critical features like BlueOcean, declarative pipeline, shared libraries. So yeah, BlueOcean is ready for evaluation, and we also have a Docker image. So if you want to try a pipeline, BlueOcean, and all other patches we've created, you can just start from this command line, and you will get everything out of the box. Moreover, the people are working on development tools and on exploratory testing. So one of major issues is to get our development tooling up to date. So Nicola, Oliver, Sam, Devin are working on getting tests running on JDK 10 or getting our tools updated for Java 9 and above. And there are also ongoing testing by different contributors. For example, Jean Paulo is working on Easy Jenkins update and exploratory testing, and yeah, there are other contributors. So this is a status update from yesterday, and we can just switch to today's status. So let's start from Nicola.
Okay. So my current plan today is to rely on the effort we had with Olivier to fix animal sniffers. So we have actually we work in parallel. So we more or less have two potential fix for it. Maybe that need to be merged. Anyway, that will enable me to patch Stapler and the other libraries we have, which rely on direct field access via reflection, which is deprecated in Java 9, 10, 11, or
yeah.
Can't
so
remember which one is showing warnings, but anyway, we want to get rid of that. So I will experiment with that today.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen.
No, you're not.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so yeah, what I was going to tell you that we have status update blog post, and you can find everything there. And yeah, since Nicola was talking about the update, yeah, I guess that patching stapler is related to this fields project. Is it correct?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, here I'm using the so-called multi-release jar, which means that within a same jar you have one class targeting, let's say, Java 8, and you provide the same class but for Java 9 or 10 or 11. And recent JDK will just pick up the adequate version for you, so that such a jar is still compatible with all Java platform. The new class will just be ignored. And on recent JDK, you will just get the best matching version of the class for the platform. So this allows us to switch from one implementation to the other depending on the current the platform requirement and constraint. This will remove the warnings we get about reflection. This won't fix the issue with the module system, but I don't expect that we get Jenkins to be itself using the Java module system, so that should not be an issue for us.
Yeah, we have one of alternate fix under the discussion, but yeah, illegal reflective access is one of the major problems. So I think that is great. Okay, thank you, Nicola. Tracy, what about you?
Hi, good morning. Yes, so today I'm going to pick up running. Well, actually, first of all, let me introduce Jonah, who's joining in today. He's sitting behind me, but probably won't be showing his face that much. But yeah, so we've worked together for a long time. He's a open source committer for CDT in Eclipse land, and also does the build engineering for it. So pretty experienced Java developer. So I'm going to take advantage, and we're going to pair program, coming in with some of the newbie bugs. So what I'll like to do is run your new Docker image and kind of go through tutorials and things and see how well I get it working. And then anything we break, we can see if we can fix. But also looking at the newbie bugs, and in particular, there's one particular newbie one, which is Jenkins 46618. I thought that would be a good one to understand, like how does someone new kind of go about fixing it. So yeah, those two angles we'll sort of attack from.
Okay. That's great. And after this status sync up, we will have introduction to plugin development. So if you have any questions, we can just discuss them online. And yeah. Okay. So whom else do we have on the call? Yeah, I guess only me. Yeah, so my update for yesterday, lots of tooling to get pipeline stuff running, and finally we've got this Blossom JDK 10 image. I've also written a blog post. Technically, it has been posted yesterday, but for me, it was already today. So yeah, it's a status update, which I was trying to show in the beginning of the meeting. So it includes all information, what we've got, and how to run Jenkins, and also updates from other activities. So this is one of the parts. And yeah, today I'm going to work on some pending patches. So we have bytecode transformer waiting for the release. Also, we have extras executable work. Yeah, maybe we will have some. This is a good area for newbie-friendly fixes, so we can talk about that. And yeah, if we get them done, I will be happy to spin the release. Then, yeah, maybe I'll continue working on some core patches. I will do also patching guidelines, etc. And yeah, if I have time, I will focus on detaching critical stuff from the Jenkins core, because we have Java web start there, and we need to detach it to a plugin to keep everything working. And yeah, it will be one of my main activities. Okay, I guess that's it with the sync up. Do we have anything else to discuss before we move on? I guess no. Okay, so then we can just continue with introductory stuff. So yesterday we had a brief introduction to how set up environment and how to get Jenkins running. So we could repeat it today, and then we could continue with some special topics.
Yeah, well, I was wondering if we could approach this. So I'm looking at a specific bug in the newbie section. So could we bring that up and talk about maybe what code that would be likely to be fixed in, and then set up a developer environment if it's for plugin or for core? How does that sound? Okay, so I can give you the bug number.
Yeah, you can just post it in GitHub.
Yeah. Okay, so this one is illegal reflective access from Jenkins core. So it sounds like.
Just a second, I will share my screen.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Sorry, let me get GitHub up as well.
Okay. So yeah, here's our bug.
Yeah.
From Jenkins core. And yeah, illegal reflective access is one of the most popular thing we hit now. It doesn't break Jenkins from running, but when you run with debug mode, you can find it. And obviously, at some point, these things will cause issues. So what we can see here is that this bug is related to Alto Jenkins core, so it's 2.60. And there is a probability that this bug has been already fixed. Yeah, but we can easily check that.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead.
Yes, so what we can see from the stack trace, actually, if you want to get these stack traces when you run Jenkins, you need to set up illegal access equal debug flag. So then you get full stack traces for the issues. And if you set it up, you get the stack trace posted here. So we can see how it happened. Interesting things start from there. So we see that there is a plugin manager doing some plugin loading. And in order to do plugin loading, it needs to class load some bits. And during this class loading, we try to find class. And due to whatever reason, we use a method which shouldn't be used because it's restricted. So that's why we got illegal reflective access. The first thing would be to just start from here, a class loader reflection toolkit. So since we do not know whether the stuff is up to date or not, we have a Jenkins repository, and there is a cool find file feature. So when you know class name, you just paste it here, you find the class, and then you can start analyzing the code. So the last change in this class was in April 2016. So it gives us high confidence that there was no recent changes. But what we can see in the commit history is that Baptiste Matos in 2016 has already patched something. And what we can see here is that there are patches. For example, so you may see that there are some reflection bits fixed, and let's see whether it fixes our particular case. Okay, so we know that the name of the method is find class. So we can just put it here, and we may see that this method is not presented in the div. So although Baptiste fixed some reflection code, most likely this particular case still exists. So we return back to the code, and we try to find the method here. And actually it's right there in the beginning. So we take a number of classes. So for example, find class, find loaded class, find resource, and we use set accessible. So this is the thing which triggers the current logic, because it shouldn't be used in Java 9 plus because we just access private methods, and there is no guarantee that they will be retained. So here we can see these APIs, and for example, for this particular method, we have find class. So let's see how it's used. It's a private static field, so it's not used outside the class. So the code is localized. And here we can see two invocations. One is find class implementation, which just invokes something and throws class not found exception if it's not found. And the second implementation it's quite different. I guess it's just returns null if something is not found. So what we can do, we can start from checking whether we can fix that. I'm going to start my IDE. So, okay, I have a number of branches. So for this particular case, we have several options. In Jenkins repository, now we have 3 branches. So one is master, it's ongoing releases. Then we have Java 10 support and Java 11 support branches. So our current approach is that if you want to propose a generic fix, which is available for Java 8, we submit it against master. But then we can quickly adopt this patch in Java 10 and Java 11 support even before it becomes available in weekly releases. So then we can port changes there. And if you submit something which is not ready for the master branch, you submit changes directly against these branches. For this patch, I hope that we can create a generic fix. So I take a master branch. I pull the current status of the master branch. So I use source tree for UI. If you want, you can use Git CLI or any other tooling. Doesn't really matter. And I'm going to open my project now. Okay. So I open Jenkins core. What was our class name? It's located in Jenkins class loader reflection toolkit. So here's our project structure. We have several models here. The model we need to fix is Jenkins core. So we go to sources, then main, Java, Jenkins. And here we have class loader reflection toolkit. So here's a bunch of these methods. I'll start from this method. So I won't touch others, so somebody can follow up with the fix.
Great.
So how we approach that? So we know that there is find class method here, and I'm pretty sure that we already have it in the new API. So let's see. Invoke methods takes several parameters. In our case, we can try, for example, CL find. And what we have in public APIs. So in public APIs, we have load class, and yeah, actually that's it. So we still do not have the find class method. We need to run this logic. So what we can do is we can just go to class loader implementation. Okay, and yeah, let's see what is the current status. So there is find class method. I just try to find it, so we understand what is the guideline from developers. So it's protected. It means that we still cannot invoke that. This method should be rewritten and it will be invoked by load class after checking parent class for class loader of the request class. So yeah, there are differences between these methods. What we can do is firstly check what is load class implementation, whether we can replace that. Okay, so we go here and then we go here. And here we can see the logic. So here it gets a class loading clock. It's similar to what we have here. So we also acquire class loading clock, which is another reflection call. And then we try to get find class working. So effectively, we have this logic in the call and this logic. But you may see that there is some bits. So for example, so this is for null class loader. Let's check our interface. Can we have a more null class loader here? Because if class loader is never null, then yeah, we can say that we do not care about this logic at all. How do we check that? Unfortunately, not all Jenkins code base is annotated so far, so you cannot trust annotations here. Let's see. There is find class loader, and what are the usages of this method? Okay, so here it take PV is plugin wrapper. So for here we can be probably sure that class loader is not null. Let's see. We can just start annotating that in order to ensure that changes we do are fine. Okay, so I'm just trying to check where the value is set. So when we create a class loader, we pass it from here, and it's the only constructor. So it means that if we know that this class loader is fine, then everything is fine. We also try to find where it's called. And you may see that now there are two methods. One is here. Here it creates class loader. It also returns something always. And here we have another class loader, and actually we pass null here. But it's for the test logic. So if we assume that class loader is null, then yep, we need to take all the logic here into account. So I mean this logic. And here we have a problem because yeah, this logic is unlikely something we want to introduce to find class. So replacing a find class by a load class is probably unsafe change. But yeah, let's see whether we have any other alternatives. Okay, do you still follow me?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, we have find class method. It's not accessible. It's not accessible in class loaders, but we will likely need to do something about that. So what usages we have? Yeah, in JT we have one invocation, and actually this is in Jenkins core we have few other usages for class loaders, but yeah, for on class loader it's fine because it's protected. Yeah, so we have illegal reflective access exception, but yeah, generally there is no good way from what I see in the code to replace that. And my next step would be to just ask Google, because what we see from the code, there are access attempts in other things, and yeah, maybe we can just find some guidelines how to replace that. So this is our Jenkins issue. There is a similar issue in XWiki project, and there is an issue in TestFX. I'm not sure what is it. Okay, so let's see what they say. So here they try to use class for name, and here they okay, so instead of using class loader, they just try to use class for name.
Yeah, that's interesting. I noticed the class we're looking at has a lot of fines, so we might want to look at the whole thing of doing it a different way.
Yeah, right. So yeah, okay, this seems to be one of the valid approaches. So we use class for name, but we pass class loader there, which is probably feasible. And yeah, let's see what XWiki project did. I guess so far they haven't updated the code yet. Okay. So do we want to try fixing it?
Yeah, so more or less the question I had, because I was looking where this reflective class loader reflection toolkit is used. And actually it's only used when we have the fast lookup feature setup. There's also always an alternative code to run with classic Java APIs, which rely on a just public class loader API. So my point here is to try to understand why this hack has been introduced, the actual benefits end user can have for it, and if it wouldn't just be simpler to just deprecate this.
Yeah, so one of the things would be to, of course, deprecate that. So yeah, this one is definitely a temporary code. Let's see where the usage is. Okay, so we have a number of accesses in Jenkins class loader. It's Uber class loader. And another one is dependency class loader. It's a tool which allows loading data from plugins and their dependencies. So effectively, both calls are low-level invocations. And yeah, let's see. So one of the good things here that yeah, there are invocations, and we could probably replace that by yeah, actually there are lots of calls. So maybe we could try refactoring these methods and maybe then removing the class at all. So Tracy, do you want to do it now?
No. So what I think I'd like us to get set up so we can also navigate around the code, but that will take a little time. So we maybe resume in the Hangout after the session.
Okay, let's do so. So
once I'm set up, yeah.
Yeah, it's a tricky case, but yeah, one of the ways forwards is to just try class for name API with class loader and with initialize flag. So initialize to false, class loader to what we've got, and yeah, maybe it will be a pass forward here, and then yeah, we can duplicate APIs probably.
Yeah, no, that looks good. It's nice to see how to navigate through, and it's nice to know these reflective-ish warnings are not straightforward. It's not necessarily always a single line fix. So
yeah, it may be a single line fix, or it may be almost impossible fix. For example, Nicola is working on stapler and extreme fixes, which just depend on reflection by design. So yeah, there are tricky bits here. Okay.
Yep.
I think we should switch to the development environment. Okay, so if you want to develop Jenkins, I'll probably repeat some bits from the yesterday's call.
Yep.
But yeah, we have Jenkins.io participate page. It's a landing page for all kinds of contributions and development. So if you are interested to write code, you just click here. And there are some guidelines like beginner's guide to contributing, how to get started, and how to set up plugin development environment. And yeah, it would be starting points for those ones who want to contribute to plugins. Actually, in Jenkins, we have several build tools supported. So the most of the plugins are built with Maven, and we offer default Maven plugin POMs. So if you have Maven, the setup is pretty trivial. For some plugins, we have Gradle support and even SBT. So for that, yeah, the setup is not that trivial. But yeah, for Maven, you just follow these guidelines. You set up repositories from which the plugins should be pulled. And then actually, the only thing you need is to just check out the plugin you want to build and run Maven clean package command. And then everything will work. So it's just Maven, nothing really special. Jenkins, plugins. Okay, let's take something like that. So yeah, if I want to build it, I just say Maven clean package, and that's it. So in order to build plugins now, you need Java 8. If you want to build with JDK 10, there are ongoing patches during this hackathon. So far, the flow is not ready. Yeah, but for the most of modern plugins, you need Java 8. You may see that this plugin is actually compatible with Java 7, but yeah, we can build it only on Java 8. And then, yeah, actually, this is how you build the plugin. And then if you want to test plugins, we have some tooling around. One of the tools is Maven HPI run. So just a second, I'll terminate. Keep it running. So if you want to test the build, you can just say Maven HPI run. So it's part of Jenkins plugin. Yeah, actually, I'll skip tests. So if you want to develop things quickly, you have an option for plugins. So for example, I do not want to wait for tests, and yeah, I just disable them. It's fine for development, because if you want to prototype something, we still have continuous integration established for all popular Jenkins plugins for Jenkins core. So even if you submit untested patch, it will be tested. Okay. And yeah, then I can click Maven HPI run and get my plugin development code base running. Okay, so something like that. So what it does, it uses our internal tooling in order to start up local Jenkins instance. You might see that it's powered by Jetty, and we have Jetty plugins inside. And yeah, then it starts initialization. And at some point, it should actually start up. Maybe it has already started up. Let's see. Oh yeah, it won't start up because I have another Jenkins on this port. Okay. So yeah, I will restart that, but yeah, that's the idea. If you want to debug your plugin, there is also Maven debug command. So you can just say Maven debug HPI run. Then it starts in the debug mode. You can attach remote debugger from your IDE to this port and get the debugging flow running. So if you want to test some changes, this is the best approach. This is how it works for Java 8. If you want to test patches on Java 10 or Java 11, it becomes a bit more tricky because so far we don't have this tooling ready. I guess Nicola may have some updates because he's working to get animal sniffer running. But if I understand correctly, we don't have the flow running so far.
Yes, it's still work in progress.
Okay, so what do we do in such case? One of the most obvious ways is to just get the plugin deployed on our instance. So we have Jenkins, and in order to run Jenkins for Java 10, you can just use a short script. So here is it in my case. So what I do is that I have a flag to stop debugging. Then I specify Java home, which points to my JDK 10 installation. And then I run Jenkins command. What I have here is that I specify Jenkins home to be used. Then I specify Java version. I set the illegal access flag to get all notifications, and I specify models, etc. So this command has been built according to our running Jenkins guidelines. So if you want to have more information, the data is here. Block, running Jenkins with Java 10 and 11. Okay, so yeah, you can find all the guidelines here, and here the command lines you can use for Java 10. For Java 11, it's a bit more tricky, but you still can do that locally if you don't use Docker or whatever. And yeah, once you get it running, you can just run, okay, for example, something like that. So here I start my local Jenkins instance. So it's without Docker or whatever. And yeah, you may see that there are lots of illegal reflective access issues. But yeah, generally, the Jenkins instance starts up, so I can navigate to it. Okay, I guess now it's correct. I'm admin here. Yeah, and here's my instance. There is not that much inside. But if I want to test my plugin, so the current approach, since development tooling is not ready, you just deploy this plugin to the instance. Okay, documents, Jenkins, plugins. What have I have been building? Apache HTTP client plugin. So here's a target, and in target I can find the HPI file. So here I just select that, then deploy that, and you may see that it's already installed because yeah, likely it was a dependency. So I need to restart my instance in order to get the thing updated. And yeah, after that, yeah, you may see that Jenkins is actually restarting. I'm not exactly sure that everything runs correctly because I've specified a pretty old version of the plugin, but I'm optimistic so far. So yeah, or what we've got here, you may see that I deployed a snapshot, which is actually older than the version you need for dependencies. So some plugins refused to start up. And actually, it's one of the takeaways if you want to test that. So if you build something, if you test something, it's better to use the latest versions now. So in my case, what I do, I have Apache HTTP client plugin. Okay, my version is really old. So I just pull the new version. Master, okay. And then yeah, I repeat all these steps actually. Okay, while I'm redoing that, are there any questions?
No, nothing for me.
Okay. So yeah, currently Jenkins have all the scans in place. So it just refuses to start up the plugins, but effectively your Jenkins instance is still running. So yeah, you just lose some plugins, but yeah, it's a recoverable state for Jenkins. So what we do is we go to manage Jenkins. Yeah, you may see that some other plugins are also, there are some warnings. So I just take manage plugins, available, choose file. Has it been finished? Yeah, the build has finished. So yeah, we just take it. Okay, so this is the current flow. When we get testing tools ready, it will be more comfortable for contributors because you will be just able to run plugin development tools and touch your debugger. But now, after you deploy the instance, you can also connect your debugger if you have flags and yeah, debug your plugin on the instance running on Java 10. Okay. So, okay, now it started up correctly, I hope. Or not. Yeah, so no administrative warnings. So everything is fine and we have got our snapshot deployed. We can check it here if you want. So installed Apache HTTP client. Yeah, here's a local build and it points to the previous installed version. So yeah, that's it. With plugin development, we can take a look at reflection issues and maybe we could take a low-hanging fruit for a plugin. Would it be useful? Or would you try? Would you want to get some other information?
I think no more information now. I just want let's get set up and then be in a position to try and play around and fix things ourselves.
Yeah, right. So for plugin development, all the guidelines are here. You may, yeah, these guidelines, yeah, they won't exactly work for Java 10. So I recommend to follow the approach I've presented.
Yeah.
If you want to save some time on deployment of the image and the local Word file, because it's not needed in many cases, what we can take is that we can take the image we've deployed. So yeah, blocks, Hackathon. So yeah, we have this command line. So what we can do is we can just say that instead, I need to stop Jenkins instance now. We can say that we want to debug. It should be working on this image, and we can just start Blue Ocean. Yeah, so it's listening for the socket port. So if we want to debug the Jenkins core, we just connect the debugger, or if we want to debug the plugin, we do the same. Okay. Yeah, I can just show it if you want. So remote default connection refused because I didn't expose the port. P minus P. Okay, so with these flags, yeah, so with these flags, instead of setting up a local development environment for Java 10, Java 11, you can just run in Docker. And then from your IDE, you also connect debugger and then do all the debugging needed, even if your Jenkins instance runs in Docker.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay, what's going on this time? Run, let me check debug settings. Because, so it's port 5000, it's localhost, it should be actually running. Yeah, pretty much closed. I'm not sure what has happened. Maybe it's also related to Java version. Yeah, I will check it after the call, but yeah, this is the idea. So for Java 8 images, it works like a charm. But yeah, maybe I just need to update my IDE because I'm using cold version. And yesterday there was a guideline in the document that you need to update your IDE actually. Just a second. Yeah, so in this huge document, yeah, there is suggested setup steps, and one of the steps is if you are using IntelliJ IDE, you need to switch to this version to use JDKs. And yeah, in my case, I use older version, so probably it just doesn't work with Java JDK 10 tooling. So yeah, if you're interested, you also start from these guidelines, and there are some tips and tricks which you need to be aware of. Okay, that's the idea. What else can I show you? Or should we just proceed with the environment setup?
No, I think that's fine. When you've run things in Docker, when you finish, it's fine. You just kill the content. There's no cleanup or anything to do.
Actually, you can set up flags in Docker itself. So, for example, if I do not like this container and if I want to get it killed after the build, I can just use the rem flag. And I guess Nicola can suggest many other flags for keeping it intact, because yeah, Docker pollutes a lot of disk space by default.
Yep.
But with rem, it will be disposed automatically once the container finishes.
Yeah, no, that will be good, not to have too many things lying around. Nicola, is there anything else right now that you'd recommend or that you have in your setup?
Nothing I could suggest here.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So if you run Docker containers, now they pass through all initialization steps, because I haven't mounted Jenkins Home as a volume. Okay. So this URL is not correct, but yeah. So you may see that I connected to this URL, but our Docker images are connected to this endpoint. So I don't want to install any other plugins. And yeah, admin, again. Yeah, it takes some time. But yeah, if you want, you can set up some configuration as code in order to avoid that. But yeah, now you get your Jenkins instance just running in Docker with all the versions, and you can install your test plugins, develop them, and connect the debugger if you get a newer IDE. So everything you can do in Docker. And if you want to set up more flags, so for example, if you want to configure initialization scenarios, or if you want to have mapping of Jenkins Home volume, you can just refer to GitHub Jenkins CI Docker. It's our standard Docker image, but all experimental versions for Java 10 and 11 are compatible with that. So you just follow these guidelines and set up whatever you need to get your own environment.
And that's useful. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're interested to get some examples, for example, yeah, I'll just switch to status update. One of the examples is by Jean-Paul. So he is working on Easy Jenkins project, which spins up everything in Docker Compose. And it also has packaging for Java 10 work in progress. And yeah, another example for configuration is like Minach demo Jenkins configuration as code. So here is also a pull request for Java support experiments. So this is a pretty big project because it demonstrates development of pipeline libraries, and it uses CI Jenkins IO, our internal CI instance as an example. So it has a lot of different configurations, like init scripts, and in the branch I'm demoing also configuration as code plugin being developed by Nicola. So you can just take this branch, and it's based on Blue Ocean now also. And it pre-configures the environment, sets up some demo pipeline jobs, etc. So if you want to try it out, you can just try this container as well. And I can push it to my Docker Hub account so that somebody can evaluate that if you're interested. Okay. So I guess I should finally stop screen sharing, because otherwise I will start showing something else. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I think I'm going to go get a big cup of coffee and then pick a path forward.
Okay. Great. And good luck with you and Jonah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so if you need any advice, then yeah, just ping us in Gitter chat, so we will be able to answer your questions.
Yeah, I have a feeling you made it look easy, so I'm going to go find the reality.
Okay. Yeah.
That's good. No, that's great. Will do.
Yeah, this evening we have a session with project Jigsaw leaders. So we will have several core contributors, including Mark Reynolds, Paul Sanders joining us, and yeah, they will answer our questions about Java 10. So if you have any hardcore questions, please come there.
So if we haven't figured out how to replace all our fine classes, we'll ask them what's the best strategy for that.
Yeah, Jenkins is a huge development tool project, and it depends on a huge number of other development tools, especially in the Maven scope. So yeah, it will be a big journey for us to get everything running on Java 10. But yeah, I think it's interesting for us. It's very useful for Jenkins ecosystem. It should be useful for Java ecosystem as well, because we contribute to common Java and Maven tooling. So yeah, I think that it's a win-win for everybody.
Great.
Okay, so thanks everybody, and yep, see you on the evening.
Right. Thanks so much, Oleg.
Okay, I'm stopping the broadcast.